Ouch.
Oh, good, thank you.
You can hit your button and get ready. And we will open this session of the Senate Finance Committee. And our first bill is House Bill 517. And we have a substitute for the prime sponsor. If you introduce yourself on the bill, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Representative Brian Seaworth. I represent the town of Pembroke, and I'm a co-sponsor on this bill. The prime sponsor is off flitting around the globe in his giant airplane, and he wanted to be here and asked me if I could come sit in his stead. Just for some context, my connection with the subject of this bill is I spent a dozen years on House labor, and I was on House labor during the terms that this program was put together. So I certainly have a lot of details I could go into, but mercifully, that's not why we're here today. Because this bill has been greatly simplified by the House. What the House committee did with this bill was narrowed it down to simply repeal the marketing portion of the Granite State Paid Family Leave Plan. And just as a simple explanation, the way family leave works in New Hampshire is the state of New Hampshire contracts with an insurance company which provides family leave for New Hampshire state and employees. And having done so, they then provide that product to New Hampshire employers and employees who are interested on a voluntary basis. Part of that package is that the state of New Hampshire helps evangelize to those who might be interested in the program but don't understand its details, to help them get acquainted and sign up if they are interested. However, the House committee looked at this as what we're kind of doing is advertising for a private insurance company selling a product to private employees and private individuals. And that I think we could debate whether that's a proper or good use of funds. But once again, a context, I just came downstairs from the House Finance Committee, which is my current assignment, where we're trying to explain to people why there are so many worthy programs that aren't funded in the House budget. And we needed to do that to make the budget balance. And this bill right here is worth, there's actually a financial note that's not in the printed version. I think it might have come out yesterday. So it's about $1.5 million that we don't have to cut from elsewhere. We've put this into HB2 as a savings. This was unanimously recommended by the House committee. It passed the House floor with a little bit of fireworks. It was kind of late and we were all punchy, but overwhelmingly passed the House on the floor. And I present it to you and hope that you will pass it as well. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
The senators do have both the financial statement as the introduced and the as amended.
Okay.
It's behind the as introduced in your package, which shows the savings of $717,000 a year. Questions from the senators? Senator Waters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I saw the original bill is basically the repeal of the program. So if it's just the advertising money, is the kind of sense that maybe it's going to atrophy as a plan, what's your sense of the future of this?
So my sense, and there are probably people behind me that can offer a more informed opinion, but having worked on this as it was being formed, so the state employees are kind of I think they're about half of the participants in this plan. this is the bulk of the plan, and no, there's no risk to the state employee program if we're not growing the program from other sources. And as far as I would analyze it, there's no risk in terms of increased cost to the state because, again, we're not signing up new people. This doesn't put at risk anybody who's already participating in the program. I don't think anybody needs advertising to continue. So there's some impact in the margin, but no, I don't see it threatening the program at all.
Very
Okay.
much. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the senators? Okay, Commissioner Betancourt, I'm going to ask you to wait till last because there are 3 people who have signed up opposed. I want to get them up here and in case that they have things that you can clear up for us. All right, Taylor. Come on down.
Is employment security signed up?
He's going to come up with me. We're going to save you some time.
I didn't see him.
If they didn't come up and they're here,
Could ask.
we can ask them. All right, go ahead. Hit the button.
All right. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the Senate Finance Committee. My name is Taylor Weiss, and I live in Sutton, New Hampshire. I'm speaking today in opposition of HB 517, particularly the amendment to repeal the critical marketing and outreach budget. This would severely limit public awareness and participation in the program. I work as a young land surveyor in engineering and land surveying field. I first learned of this program through a flyer at a town office and through the state's website. I was excited and relieved to see paid family leave programs start in the state of New Hampshire. I've previously and currently work for small companies that do not offer any type of family medical leave. I was able to sign up for an individual plan that would allow me 6 weeks of leave at 60% of my wage. If not for the flyer, I would not have known or been able to sign up for the program 2 years ago. I'm currently 6 months pregnant with our first child, and I will be utilizing this program to care for my newborn when she arrives later this summer. Had I not learned about this, where did I go?
All you have to do is just
Yep.
look at us, put you down your phone and talk to us.
Yeah. Had I not learned about this program, my wife and I might have waited longer to start our family. I'm already considered a geriatric maternal patient at 36. My wife is the town administrator for the town of Sutton. After I signed up 2 years ago, I encouraged her to look into the program. As a result, the town of Sutton decided to offer this benefit for all the hardworking town employees in all departments, highway, police, transfer, library, etc. The select board feel it is an affordable benefit and great use of taxpayer dollars. This all started from a flyer in Rise Town Hall. My wife will now be able to care for our newborn for up to 12 weeks because she has the employer version. And she has previously been able to care for her mother after a skiing accident this winter. New Hampshire FMLA allows more than new parents to care for their young families. It aids in care of older children, parents, and direct family members. Eliminating the marketing budget is a step toward eventually repealing this entire program. This was the original intent of the bill. New Hampshire FMLA is a critical benefit that many Granite Staters utilize. If repealed, it would harm my family, my town's community members, and others across the state. Repealing would impact how folks grow their families and careers in New Hampshire. I vehemently oppose HB 517 and the amendment to repeal the marketing and outreach budget for New Hampshire FMLA. I hope members of the committee will do the same. Thank you for your time.
Questions from the
questions?
senators? Seeing any, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mackenzie?
Thank you, Chairman Gray and members of the Senate Finance Committee for allowing me to speak in opposition to House Bill 517 today. My name is Mackenzie Nicholson. I'm the Senior Director of Moms Rising in New Hampshire. And also thank you for your flexibility in allowing me to bring my littlest person to the committee today. She is out of school and, life happens as a mom. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our position against House Bill 517. So you heard from other speakers today that as amended, it would repeal the marketing and outreach budget for our state's paid family and medical leave plan. And the threat isn't limited to House Bill 517 alone. This idea is also included in the House-passed state budget that is now moving on to the Senate. And whether through this bill or through the budget process, the result is still the same. Fewer families and businesses will know this plan exists, and few will be able to use it. When New Hampshire launched our paid family and medical leave plan just over 2 years ago, we knew it was an important step forward, laying the foundation for better support for working families. And already over 23,000 Granite Staters have enrolled, demonstrating strong public demand for the program and a clear value to both families and businesses. Rather than quietly dismantling parts of the plan, lawmakers should be focused on strengthening and expanding outreach so that more Granite Staters can participate and benefit. And other states' experiences underscore the importance of dedicated outreach and funding in ensuring the success of their plans. For example, Washington State sets aside 4% of their annual budget for marketing and outreach, encompassing things like trainings, advertising, and public relations. And this proactive approach has resulted in 88% of businesses in Washington State not only knowing about the program, but also then 53% of businesses having a positive reaction or knowing its impact on their operations was beneficial. So, and these results don't happen by accident, right? They're part of an intentional outreach and marketing strategy, and that's exactly what New Hampshire should be striving for. Also, Moms Rising believes that relying on a private agreement with the insurance carrier to handle the outreach is a risky and unstable approach. Granite Staters deserve consistent and reliable information about the plan, not assumptions based on a deal that could change or disappear without any public oversight. Families and businesses need certainty, accountability, and transparency from the public programs that they rely on. Without access to a strong paid family leave program, Granite Staters are often forced to choose between a paycheck, caring for a new baby, taking care of an elderly parent, or a sick child, and that's a choice that no one should have to make, right? One that disproportionately impacts women, caregivers. And for a state like New Hampshire, a state that's aging, the oldest in the country, already struggling to attract and retain new workers, paid family leave isn't just a family issue, right? It's an economy issue, it's a workforce issue. When families have access to paid leave, they're more financially stable, they're more likely to stay in the workforce, and better able to care for their loved ones in the future. So we know that paid leave provides these proven economic benefits to small businesses by improving employee retention, morale, and productivity. And that's why 79% of business owners nationwide support a paid family leave program, because they know that these programs help their businesses grow and be able to compete more effectively. So anyways, all that to say that we believe that reducing awareness and access is simply bad for businesses, bad for families, and bad for New Hampshire's economy. New Hampshire families and businesses deserve better, so we urge you to vote no on House Bill 517 to protect the outreach funding for our paid family leave medical plan so that more Granite Staters can access the support they need. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions from the senators?
Thank you.
Senator Herzl.
Just one. Thank you for taking my question.
Sure.
In the beginning, I was busy writing the question. How many people did you say were in the program?
23,000 so far.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Additional questions? Oh,
Thank you,
Senator
Mr.
Rosen.
Chairman. Is that 23,000 exclusive of the state workforce?
Does that mean including the
It includes
state?
them.
It does.
So it's the state workforce plus anybody else whose company has signed up or individuals?
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
believe so. And obviously the commissioner's here and can speak to a little bit more about the enrollment of the program.
All right, seeing no additional
Thank you.
questions, thank you very much.
Thanks.
There is one other person who signed up and opposed but did not check to speak. So we'll go to Commissioner Betancourt. Oh, we've got lots of people showing up. All right.
Good afternoon, Senators. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, DJ Betancourt, I have the pleasure of serving as the Commissioner of the New Hampshire Insurance Department. Joining me is none other than Rich Lavers, Deputy Commissioner over at the Department of Employment Security. It's good to be with you this afternoon. So as previous individuals have testified, when this initiative first began, it sought to repeal the entire paid family medical leave program, and that was obviously something that we opposed pretty aggressively. I think, again, previous testimony has spoken to the value of the program. However, as the process went along, I'm obviously not unaware of the difficult process you all are engaged in at present to put the next state budget together. And I think that the House was seeking to find any opportunities they possibly could to find some savings. And so I think, I won't speak for Rich, but I think for a lot of us, we felt as though it was a bit of a binary choice. We could find some savings by eliminating the marketing aspect of the program or lose the program entirely. And so given those two choices, for me anyway, it was a pretty easy decision. Is eliminating the marketing portion of this program helpful? I can't say that it's helpful, no. Is it the end of the world for the program? No. As was previously mentioned, I have already been in talks with MetLife about getting together very soon to talk about what responsibilities they would be willing to pick up and what resources they would be willing to dedicate to backfilling the loss of the funding for the marketing component. I know that there is specific concern regarding promotion of the individual market, if you will. The program in its entirety is comprised of the 9,000 state employees. You've got your business pool, and then you've got your individual pool. The individuals can purchase the product on their own if their employer does not offer this benefit or a comparable benefit to this. And I think the concern that I've heard is, there's been aggressive outreach to the business community because of its economic benefits, to be sure, but also because it has the biggest bang for your buck, if you will, in terms of getting lives into the overall risk pool to stabilize and keep premiums affordable. It's the individual pool where, from an insurance perspective, there was concern certainly when we were designing the program, that you would have potential adverse selection in that particular pool because the individuals who would be most motivated to sign up for it would be those most inclined to use it. And so I think the concern that I'm hearing from some of the advocates is that there's not as much motivation for MetLife to promote the individual pool as it is to promote to the business community. We will make sure that that is adequately addressed in our conversations. Again, should you decide to move forward with this proposal, you've got the proposal before you, but as Representative Seaworth mentioned, it's also included in the House's version of House Bill 2, which will come before you as well. So I'll pause here for a moment. Rich, is there anything you'd like to add?
Just a couple of things. One, we did bring some information that I'll distribute out to the committee to address some of the questions so you can see some of the success that the program has in its first 2 years. We've managed to get a little over 300 employers to purchase coverage on behalf of about 13,000 workers at those establishments. And we're very proud of the individual aspect of this, with New Hampshire being the only state in the country that allows individual workers to purchase their own affordable coverage when it's unavailable through their employer, as Commissioner Betancourt was just describing. We just finished what we think is a very successful open enrollment period where we're now up to about 1,900 individuals enrolled in that individual portion of the program. Prior experience in that program, it is about 75% female, 2/3 of which are under the age of 45. And what should come as no surprise, 80% of the leave for that group is for bonding with a newborn child. So for those individuals, they have no other option, and that's why they were able to purchase the individual product. So it's been very successful for them, and we've been able to continue to grow it. I will say that Commissioner Betancourt and I have talked in the past. In addition to his description of conversations with MetLife to get them to take on more of the marketing aspect of all of this program, there are other opportunities where his department, as well as employment security, can continue to create awareness with some synergies where we have a lot of conversations with chambers and business groups with regard to other state programs for recruitment and retention type of issues with Commissioner Betancourt, with other types of insurance products. So we do have opportunity to continue to have the conversation with those groups about the availability of New Hampshire paid family medical leave, and can continue to talk about it at job fairs and other types of events where we do interact with individuals. So there will still be some conversation that we're able to have if this amended proposal were to go through. And hopefully the conversations with MetLife are successful and they're able to pick up a big chunk of that marketing going forward to continue to create awareness.
I would just add to that as well. Obviously, we've been involved in a lot of conversations around this proposal since January. Notably, it's changed, of course. But there have been a lot of really good ideas brought forward by a number of the advocates in terms of what we could do to further promote the program that don't cost any money at all. It's simply a matter of making sure that we're coordinating with other state agencies that make information available to the public about where they can get coverages, where they can get particular benefits. And so just making sure that we're getting information about this program in front of the eyes of as many people as we can. We'll work together with those advocates and anyone else who would like to work with us and bring ideas forward. So again,
Questions from the senators?
please.
I knew you were getting to the end. Senator Rosenwald.
I have a few questions, if I could. Thanks for taking them. So I was surprised to hear that the majority of the users are taking time off to bond with a new child and not to recover from childbirth itself. Is that because most of the people who are covered also have disability insurance?
That's a good question. Rich, you have?
I was just really surprised that it's not like 50-50.
I've got part of the answer. Rich has got the other part. I'll let him go first.
And so short-term disability coverage could be utilized for a portion of that. Some of this, I think, just gets categorized all under bonding, even though it's a combination of both recovering from childbirth and then spending time with the newborn child. So I think there's some of that in there. Certainly in the employer-sponsored part of the program, a lot of employers do retain their existing short-term disability. That would kick in first prior to the 6 weeks of potentially bonding would kick in under paid family leave. So it's a little bit of both.
Okay, thank you. Can I follow up?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So, do you know how many of the corporate buyers have passed on some or all of the premiums to their enrollees?
Yes, we do. Is that included in this particular presentation?
Of course, Senator, you asked the question that was in a slide that got excluded from the slide deck that got provided. I will double check on this. Currently, about 70%, so 70 of the 312 or so employers that are sponsoring are fully sponsoring, so they're fully paying the premium. The balance of that is a mixture of employers that are sharing the cost or passing it on entirely to their employees, but overwhelmingly, the employers are picking up the full cost of the premium.
Thank you. Follow-up?
Senator Bertzel, you had a question?
You have another one?
I did.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
thank you. Could you tell us how the marketing has increased the numbers of corporate and individual enrollees since the program started? I mean, I know it's only been 2 years, but do you have
I think
that data?
Cassie Keene probably has a more scientific answer, but
Oh.
certainly in terms of what we've seen in growth with the enrollment, it is clearly having a benefit, to be sure. Now Cassie's, like I said, has got the whole ROI analysis down for you. We can get that to you for sure.
Thank you. One more if I could. So
Okay.
I was reading the worker toolkit this morning, and it said that the individual pays taxes on their premiums, but the benefit may be taxed. Is that up to the federal government, or how would somebody know that the benefit they receive is going to get taxed? And I apologize because it's not directly related to the bill, but
So I'll jump in just to say that, yes, the premium is taxed via the insurance premium tax that we have here at the state. Now, I would note that the revenue generated from the purchase of this particular product is segregated out and put into an individual premium stabilization account because, as you know, the individual pool's premium is capped at $5 per pay week. And so to ensure that that's going to remain financially viable for MetLife, we've got that premium stabilization fund. So the IPT tax that they're paying for the product, again, is going back into the program to make sure that they're able to keep that cap in place without causing financial distress. In terms of the benefit, Rich, I think that's something for you.
Yeah, and the benefit, the advice that is on the website is due to some unclear and mixed guidance that comes out from the Internal Revenue Service with regard to the different types of leave that can be that you can receive wage replacement for. So there's some aspects of the family caregiving type of leave that is unclear in terms of IRS guidance. So we put that somewhat of a disclaimer out there, making sure that they're well aware that all of the benefit that they're getting could be subject to federal income tax.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator Bertzel, you're all set? She asked your question?
She did.
All right.
Which one?
That's okay. I have a couple of yes/no questions, hopefully to confirm that the program's not going to go away. Certainly, the state being involved in this program is what has made it financially viable for the state and others to be a part of this program. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the popularity among the state employees is probably the reason why I'm only doing away with the advertisement and not the program in itself. Is that what you understand also?
For some, yes.
And that taking away that benefit from the state employees would bring their wrath down on me. Is that?
That may very well be the case, Senator.
Okay. Now, Senator Bertzel has another question.
Well, you generated it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Thank you for taking my question. Since obviously we don't have to really advertise to the state employees, what would you say would the advertising that has been put out there, actually, do you think that's a majority of the reason why the 300 employers and the individuals have signed up?
Yeah, I think the advertising has had certainly an impact with that. I think word of mouth has also been very, very helpful. You've heard from some folks today who have had an experience in which this benefit was of great help to them, and obviously they share that with others and get others interested as well. But no, certainly the advertising has had a positive impact.
Okay, thank you.
All right, additional questions? All right, seeing none, that's the last person who signed up to speak. Is there anybody that's changed their mind? Seeing none, the online signups were 5 in support, 19 opposed, but from this, I cannot tell whether it was the original House bill or the amended bill, so take that with a grain of salt. And with that, we'll close this public hearing, and we'll open the next one in just a couple of minutes. Yep. Our next bill is House Bill 165, and we have the prime sponsor here to introduce the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And good afternoon, Finance Committee, Senate Finance Committee. For the record, my name is Representative Judy Aaron. I represent Sullivan County District 4, towns of Ackworth, Goshen, Langdon, Leominster, and Washington. I am introducing this bill to you, HB 165, today, relative to the maximum amount of disaster relief funding provided to municipalities after a natural disaster. I'm actually here to correct a wrong that was made last year when the language of this RSA was included in a bill that went to the Committee of Conference. The original bill language sought for up to $100,000 to possibly be awarded to a municipality after a natural disaster hits their community. I guess the Senate was adamant that the governor would not sign the bill unless the amount was lowered to $25,000. So it was agreed upon at the Committee of Conference that we would settle for a severe reduction in this kind of grant in order to get the language signed into law. I'm simply asking with this bill that the original $100,000 grant amount be reestablished, because we all know that $25,000 is hardly disaster relief to any community. You could barely buy a culvert for that amount of money these days, depending on the size. It barely helps at all to pay to fix roads temporarily or to be used to help to get a community running again after severe flooding or other natural disaster hits. Additionally, and pretty importantly, this bill also corrects some language that Homeland Security Emergency Management suggested so that it is clear that disaster relief funding received by this grant program only applies to this program and is not confused with any other disaster relief funding a municipality may receive. And that you can see on line 5. It says money from this program. This is a very important change to this language. So some of you know that I've been working on this legislation since severe flooding hit Ackworth and other towns in the state in July 2021 and again in July 2023. And I think Senator Pearl can attest to the fact that the roads in Ackworth are pretty messed up still to this day. Many towns experience flooding due to heavy rains. And just so you know, the bills that we have passed already in 2022 and 2023 for disaster relief, loans, which was SB 409, and state share of payment of non-FEMA reimbursable expenditures, SB 402, have not even been accessible or functional to our municipalities. Rules have not been written yet, even after 3 years. Let's not leave this work undone for another year. If a disaster hits, we as a state need to be prepared to help our municipalities and give them quick and useful tools to be able to make roads passable and deal with the emergencies, especially if they do not have the financial reserves available. And many of these little, small towns like Ackworth certainly don't. When they have a tax base of 850 people and 55 miles of road to maintain. It becomes very difficult to set money aside to deal with these disasters, along with just maintaining their roads. So I'd be happy to answer any questions and also have provided additional information regarding problems with SB 402 and SB 409.
Questions from the senators? I have questions. When you look at the financial report says that there's a limit on the fund of $45,292, which if I raise that limit from 25,000 to 100,000, one community could come in and wipe the fund out and no one else could get any money out of the fund. How is
Correct.
that fair?
Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, if a community comes to the fiscal committee with a request, that doesn't mean that the fiscal committee can accept the entire amount of their request. They could deny the request. They could say, sorry, we don't have the money to give you. Or the fiscal committee could then take a look at maybe where there's some unappropriated funds that might be able to be moved into this particular fund to help fulfill that request. It probably makes more sense not to have a big pile of money laying around, not having anything, nobody doing anything with it, and just have this big chunk of money laying around. Instead, it might make more sense to see if a disaster happens, and they may not, they don't happen every day, to be able to then access funds in some unappropriated other, funds that are, monies that are available. So that's what the intent is of this bill, is at least to have something in statute that allows the state to give money to municipalities in their time of need, whereas before, there was absolutely no statutory vehicle to do that.
Additional questions from the senators? Oh, well, Senator Waters first. I saw your hand first.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So is it your assumption that, there's next to nothing in the fund now, but that were there to be other funds available, they would be placed in this fund?
Yes,
Then that would be the mechanism for dispersing them.
yes.
Thank you.
Senator Rosenwald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this fund was created in 2013. Do you know what the original funding source was? Was it general?
I do not. If,
LBA is not here.
I think Director Buxton from Homeland Security Emergency Management would be better to answer that.
Thanks.
The LBA is probably staffing the hearing that's going on upstairs on the budget, so. Additional questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you. And I
That's
had,
the last person I have on
you
the
have some
list.
handouts.
The signups online were 7 in support, 1 opposed. Is there anyone that's changed their mind? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And I don't know whether the committee wants to go into executive session or not. Oh, I've got a yes. So do I have a motion? Senator Waters moves to go into executive session. And Senator Rosenwald, you seconded that? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. We're in executive session. If we take this bill, since you've got your books open to that, right now, there's no guarantee that any more money is going to be put in there. Right. And that's my problem when I look at line 4, okay? Is changing that from 25,000 to 100,000 is that one community comes in and wipes it out. We also know that most of these things have in the past been associated with disaster relief from the federal government, and, that plays into this. So those are my initial comments on that. What do we have for other comments? Senator Waters? Oh, Senator Pearl first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think there's any harm in increasing this to $100,000, because the language says, but shall not receive more than $100,000. What I think it does is it opens the bill up for the opportunity that if there's a major disaster and a community has one and the money is there, then it statutorily allows for more of a grant or whatever the appropriate word is to occur. If it's not there, then it's not there. You know, and it does leave some oversight for the fiscal committee. So I don't personally see that there's any harm in raising that level.
Senator Waters?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. And I agree with Senator Pearl's point on it, in that I think that the practical matter is that if there's going to be such a fund, that the limit of $25,000 is just too small. And we saw this a few years ago with the drought relief and the well. I mean, there's a lot of areas in which we've recognized that the money is not enough to do it. My sense in this fund, too, is that when there is a federally declared disaster, it usually has to be over $2 million. And so a lot of the communities, if it's not up to $2 million and we don't get the federal funding, that's going to be state funding. And we've done that, you know, Governor Sununu several times for the Seacoast and for some of the other flooding in the north and the western part of the state, was able to put some ARRA money into things. So I just think the fund will likely be a vehicle, whether it's federal relief or state funding, should there be some found for this. It would go through this fund, and $100,000 makes some sense. So I would hate to say that it's inflation since 2013, because it's not that bad. But I think that it's hard to imagine for these small towns, the 25,000 being the appropriate number. So I would support it, Mr. Chairman, if that's the way we go.
Further comments? If you want to make a motion, that is in
I'll
order.
move on to pass.
I will second that.
OTP, Senator Waters. Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed say nay. And the ayes have it.
Consent?
6-0. And we have a motion for consent. All those in favor of consent say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. And Senator Waters, you made the motion, you get the bill.
Thank you.
Okay, 517.
I don't know, I just,
Senator Bertzel.
I just can't think about, I just don't want to take away some marketing dollars for the Family Leave Act. I just don't think it's smart at this point in time, since the number of people that are using are actually a lot better than I had anticipated.
If I might, as a marketing guy. You know, when you establish something new, your big job is to raise awareness. And a lot of times you'll spend a lot more money on marketing up front than you need to spend later in a maintenance mode, just reminding people the program exists. I'm personally not ready to move on this because I don't know what was done to build awareness or what needs to be done to make sure people continue to be aware. But I suspect it requires less money now than it did at the onset. So,
I don't know if I agree with that, because I think, I agree that once you're in a maintenance mode, you can probably take away some of the advertising, but it's only been in place for 2 years.
No.
I think you need another 2 years to try and get it into maintenance mode, but.
Senator Waters?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, it's in the budget. I think it's sure to act on it now because it takes a Senate position one way or the other.
Yeah.
But if we get into the budget process and it's $1.5 million there sitting there for this potentially, and the House says, well, we could probably use that $1.5 million to deal with something because of the huge plug. I think it's hard to imagine that this will become a priority for us at that time, but that's what we'll decide then.
Good point.
I would sort of agree with you, but I want to know, they had talked about the fact that they were looking at other ways to get the word out. I want to know what their plan is before I make any moves on this.
Exactly, and, if I may, Mr. Chair, $1.5 million is a lot of money in a small state for a program that is being used, and it's important, but, yeah, my guess is we might be able to be more efficient.
Senator Rosenwald, you had,
Thank you. Also, as a marketing person, MetLife has this contract. They're making money on it. And I don't really see why the state needs to support a for-profit. We are getting the word out to state employees, which this program was primarily created for, and 9,000 of our state employees are enrolled in it. So, I mean, if we had an extra $1.5 million, I'd be jumping all over this, but I think we're unlikely to have an extra $1.5 million. So maybe it's premature to deal with it.
I can tell you that certainly, saving $1.4 million is very attractive to the chair of finance. So, but if it's the will of the committee that you want to stop and think about this, certainly both the insurance department, the labor department, and others will be coming in. And if they want to put advertising dollars in their budget or move funds around to be able to do that, I think that we who are using word of mouth and telling people how great they think this program is. So
Can I make a,
I'm sure your aide can draft that email to Commissioner Bettencourt and whatever.
all right,
Okay, so Pearl, you're itching. You haven't pushed the button yet.
I know I haven't, I will say this, Mr. Chair. There's every part of me that would move this bill forward because I agree very much with the comments that I've heard that this is a program that our responsibility is to our state employees. We don't need $1.4 million to market to our state employees about a program we're offering. I appreciate that we want the program to be successful in the private sector. I very much appreciate that, but I think our businesses around the state are pretty savvy about what programs are available to benefit their employees. I think MetLife is pretty savvy about promoting this product if it's beneficial for them to do so, and I 100% agree that I feel we're gonna need the money elsewhere. So I would be pretty comfortable that, maybe we want to pass and table this and just get the policy there. I'd be comfortable with that. I'll leave it up to the will of the rest of the committee. That's where I could be.
I'll make a motion about to pass.
And I would second.
As discussion, I'm not really comfortable with tabling this one. If we're going to go online, I want us to come online. Either we're supporting the funding or we're not supporting the funding. We are going to have so much stuff in HB2, whether or not the House passes or doesn't pass a budget, HB2 is going to be a chuck-a-buck full.
Mm-hmm. Chuck-a-buck full?
Chucker-block.
Chucker-block, that's right.
However, must be a Midwestern expression.
No, that's a standard term.
Senator Waters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the arguments that have been made by Senator Bertzel, and I do think that those questions could get answered outside of the process of what we may do, but I agree that we're going to have so much to deal with, and that if we don't make a decision this week, we're going to have to make one in a few weeks. And I don't think the decision will be much different. So I would just as soon do it now. And we can have another bite at the apple when we get the budget. If we really say, oh, wait a minute, we ought to put something in, or they ought to do this, or we're not satisfied with the answer we're getting from MetLife, then okay. But then I would think we want to make sure MetLife is going to market to the individuals. They did increase that by 500 folks, and that's good. But I can think of a whole lot of things that 1.4 million could support. And so it's hard. I mean, if we didn't have to do it, I wouldn't want to do it, but I do think we kind of ought to act.
I just don't want anyone thinking or voting for this because they think it's going to be a passing table. I want the decision to table or not table to be right up front so that when you take your vote, that you know.
Yep.
I'm fully supportive of just passing it. I offered the passing table as sort of a compromise.
All right, so we have a motion, unless somebody wants to rescind it. All right, the motion is ought to pass. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay. 6-1, I think it is, right?
Do you want this on consent or
I don't care.
move consent? Second?
Okay. Lang and Pearl, consent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. It's on consent, and I'm going to take it out. All right. We had two other bills.
Only one.
Only one.
No, you said you weren't gonna do this one.
739. Okay.
I told Bill Liddy we weren't gonna do it, that's why he left.
All right. Any discussion on it, though?
This is 731.
Yeah,
Yeah.
donor town.
Yes, we have discussion.
Well, I'm just thinking maybe we don't want to make changes while litigation is pending.
You think?
That is certainly one of the things that has crossed my mind.
Would it be appropriate to re-refer and take it up next year?
That is certainly an option.
If the decision goes out by then,
If-
make a decision. Re-refer, my question, I asked whether it would be appropriate just to re-refer the bill, knowing that we have a pending decision out there from the court system, and then we could take it up next year and decide if the court hasn't answered, we may want to answer, or we can do something else.
Okay, so because people have been told that we probably would not take this up, let us think about the re-refer motion, and then we will take it up next Monday. We don't have anything going on next, I shouldn't say Monday.
We certainly do, but we have, time has been allotted. We start agency presentations next Monday. We start agency presentations next Monday. We will take presentations on Monday afternoon, Tuesday from 1 to 3, and then if we have any other committee work, we can take it up at 3 o'clock. That's the way the schedule is right now.
So make sure that you eat lunch these days because you may be starving in a few weeks here, so. Any other business to come before us in executive session?
Move to come out of executive.
We have a motion and a second to come out of executive session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are back in regular session. Our business today being complete, we are adjourned. Well done, Mr. Chair.